And good morning, everybody. This is the time that we sit and we wait for the clock in the other room to stop it with the Westminster chimes and stop bonging out the fact that it's 12 o'clock. We let all the notification go out and everybody gets on the same sheet of music. And then when the clock finally stops striking 12, I can come over here, click the button, and say, good afternoon, y'all. Happy Sunday to you. Hope everybody is doing well today. Boy, it's been a heck of a week here. Those of you who follow me on Facebook know that I've been doing a lot of prep work, getting ready to put in this perimeter for my gravel pad to put the shed on. And, well, hey, I didn't even plug my light in and turn it on. I'm probably sitting here in shadows. Let me do that. And one of these days I'll figure this live streaming stuff out. So, there's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes. And I needed a break. But I'm getting ready to go out and do it again. So, let's go ahead and go down the list and see who's in town here. Well, Ice Cream 62 checking in from Italy. Yeah, I mentioned that I was going to eat a sandwich, and I forget that not everybody gets American slang. It's basically a sandwich. A sandwich is a sandwich, but a really good sandwich is a sandwich. So it was salami, by the way. Let's see. Jeff Rozak checking in from Edgewater, Florida. Boy, been talking long, Mark? Obviously not. Let's see. Mario Medina, good morning. Ayal Peleg checking in from Israel. Hope you're doing well today. Let's see. We have Dave Kraus and Steve Gronsky. We can get to that question in a couple minutes there, Steve, but I got to warn you, I do not know anything about the Chamfer Toolpath. I've not used it yet. So, Thomas Grimm in the house. Steve Nealon from Harneal Media checking in. Hope you're doing well, Steve. Hope everything is going good for you and Pam. For those of you who don't know, Steve had I can just go out and say it. It's common knowledge now. He had a massive heart attack and ended up having triple bypass surgery. So he's home. He's on the mend. And if I can quit joking with him and making him laugh in Google Hangouts and what have you, he can heal up, Sorry about that. I had him busting up the other day. But what can I say? That's just the kind of guy I am. There is a link down in the description of this live stream and this video to a GoFundMe to help out Steve and his wife Pam. It's a cause that's very near and dear to my heart. I encourage you all to go over and hit that GoFundMe link. And if you have a couple of dollars to spare, throw them Steve and Pam's way. They need a lot of help with this. It's the expenses are piling up, and Steve's not able to bring in an income right now. So if you have already donated, thank you very much. If you can't donate, please at least go over to the GoFundMe and share that GoFundMe on your social media. We need to get more eyes on it and help these folks out. They're very near and dear to my heart, and I would appreciate it, and I know they will. So thank you for that. Dale Francis checking in from Utah. Bob Heltebridle out in Virginia. Bob Heltebridle, I know he posts all kinds of things, rude, crude, socially unacceptable, also known as funny, but he also deals with Clydesdale horses. Now, I don't know if he still raises them or not, but he's not a small man. And when you see these horses that make him look like me, and I'm 5'7", he's got some huge animals running around that property. Gorgeous animals. Beautiful horses. How you doing, Bob? Let's see. RC Builder from Colorado, Aaron Hansen. Hey, y'all. Steve Late checking in from the UK. Kevin L's down there in South Africa. Let's see who else is here. Dave Matthews from New York. Just kicked on the AC. Mine has been running full time since about May 20th. Let's see. Tom Miller checking in from Texas. Rob Sandstrom. Dave Gatton from Gatton Central down there in sunny, beautiful Georgia. Now, I said sunny and beautiful. It's probably raining like a son of a gun now. Let's see. John Cousins there from Wood If I Could, our northern contingent up there in Canada. Mark Presbazewski, tell me how close I got. From Fairview, Pennsylvania. Paul Rothwell. See, now I try Presbazewski, and I screw up Rothwell. Only me. Paul Rothwell checking in from Manchester. Troy Pritchard. Bumps. From the Lake District in the UK. What part of the Lake District? I mean, are you closer to Windermere, Coniston Waters? What's it? Bassenthwaite Lake? Let's see. Mark Hack checking in. Andrew W. Dennis Mills. Steve M. Candy Junction from Washington State, right up the highway from me. Doug Reese from California. I'm almost caught up, honest. Let's see. Dwayne Ruthig from Michigan. Jonathan W. Got me some gauge sizes. Okay, cool. I haven't forgotten you. I'm just kind of waiting. And nice work on the stump. And, that 348. I had a friend that had a 61 Chevy with a 348 in. Good times with that car. Let's see. Larry Ryan from Utah. Jeff from Woodywan in Connecticut. Let's see. Francisco Paz from Rio. Jill Knight from the Texas Panhandle. I say Texas Panhandle. My mother and grandmother were from Texas. I'm allowed to say Texas. Let's see. Dennis Mills from South Carolina. Troy Schul from Wisconsin. Michael Johnston. Mary Rebecca Carlson from Florida. Shivasevsky. Okay. Shivasevsky. Well, I tried, Mark. I really tried. Glenn House from Ireland. David Dietrich. Aaron Hansen. Valerie Svestov. Okay. Doug Reese will be up in Gold Beach. Beautiful coast. If you've never visited the Oregon coast, it will be both the warmest and coldest summer you have ever spent, but spectacular scenery. It's gorgeous. Okay, let's see. Clinton Caraway. I can answer that in just a minute. Dave Leonard from the Bay Area. Grew up in the Bay Area. Fremont, as a matter of fact. Welcome aboard, y'all. Man, that was a long list. Thank you all for joining me. That just freaks me out that many people are in here and willing to say hello. A lot of folks just want to sit back and hush, not say a whole heck of a lot. Okay, let's get into today. The video this morning was on grouping toolpaths in the toolpath list, and then also different arrangements and different ways of saving these toolpaths in the save toolpath form for saving your G code. And it took me a minute to remember what the heck I was talking about. I had a couple of questions over on Facebook. I had a couple of questions about it over on the YouTube comments for that video. So I'm going to go ahead over there, grab that. That's why you're all of a sudden going to see it reflect in my glasses here. Let's see now. We had, try to get the ones that are on topic here. Steve Gronsky says that unfortunately his machine is a Laguna and he loves it, but it's proprietary and he can only use 7 or 8 digit file names. I'm with you. I remember that limitation from old Windows way back in the day. And you just kind of have to get creative with the file naming conventions. But if you have, I don't know if you're using Cut 2D or VCarve, if you have the Pro version, I can show you here in Aspire. I'll just bring this up and then I'll switch over to, this is Aspire here, obviously, but if you have the Pro version, you can come over here to the Toolpaths menu, come down here and create a job sheet. And those job sheets right there, I don't know if you've ever seen one. I'll go ahead and I'll create a job sheet and I'll put it in this folder and save it. And it saves it as an HTML file. So now when I come over here, I have this HTML file that I double click on, and this job sheet tells me everything about this project. There's a layout, here's the material border, here are the various vectors involved, the material setup, the toolpath summary, and here is where it lays out what these toolpaths are and what tool is used for it and an estimated running time. These are real handy. So you can name your toolpath and it'll list the tools right here. So you can use those shortened names for the toolpath and still be able to figure out which tool is which and not have to count on your memory. But I mean, and then it goes down in the toolpath list, toolpath by toolpath, just all the information about it. These are real handy. Unfortunately, job sheets are not available in the desktop versions. So you won't get them on VCarve desktop or Cut 2D desktop. But they are there in Cut 2D Pro, VCarve Pro, and Aspire. And they are very, very handy. So let's see. The next question was from Ayal Peleg, who I know is out there listening. Instead of renaming the files, why not add the tool name to the toolpath to begin with? At least the first one from which the file name is derived. You can certainly do that, and a lot of times I do, but to be honest with you, I forgot to do that in this video, mainly because this was like the fourth time I recorded it because I had interruptions and other problems going on. So I just basically forgot to. Also, if you normally use the same tool for the final profile cut, it might be worthwhile to set up a distinct tool for this purpose so that it won't group with other toolpaths. Again, usually I do. When I calculate that toolpath, I will edit that tool and change the tool number so that even though it's the same tool, Aspire is reading it as a different tool. I just forgot to mention that. But you certainly can do that. So I hope that answers those questions there. And those are the only questions I got in the comments for the video. So let's go ahead and come back here to a dark screen so that not so much is reflecting off my glasses here. So let's see. We have... Dave Matthews says, pretty sure you didn't need to unselect out the final profile on the list. It will make a new file every tool change in the sequence. That's just the thing. It doesn't use a different tool. If I were to include that, profile cutout in with the other tool paths, it would progress right down and cut that toolpath out. It doesn't care about sequence. It runs in the sequence that you put it in. That's why I put it separate. There is one, and I forgot to mention this in the video, but I did show it. There is one exception to my rule about making the profile cutout a separate toolpath, and that is, for instance, in the 3D carving, or excuse me, the my T-jar lids demo, all of the files were, or all of the toolpaths were cut with that 1/4-inch end mill, and the very last thing would have been the profile cutout. So I just made sure it was the last item on the list, and then went ahead and calculated all those toolpaths to one file. So there are exceptions to just about every rule, and that was one of them. But the main point I was trying to get across was leaving the profile cutout for the last thing that gets done in the order of operations, because I don't want it breaking loose. It's happened before. That's how I come up with these little rules. I've done it before. Cut it out, and then now I've got other machining to do. Even if you do use good, healthy tabs, things happen. I've come across voids in plywood. I've come across knots or just different irregularities in wood grain that can cause it to break loose. And it only takes once to make you learn your lesson. So now I just make sure the profile cutout is the very last thing that gets done. So call me paranoid, but you know what? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. So, okay, let's see. Patrick has joined us. Howdy doing, Patrick? And Mervyn over there at Poppy's Woodshed. Welcome aboard. Okay, Steve Gronsky, you've used the job sheet. Yeah, they come in handy. So let's see. The icon to the left of the toolpath save icon in the machining panel will generate the same thing, David. Okay. I'm going to have to look into that. All right. Thank you for that. I do appreciate tips. So, okay, I think I'm caught up on the questions that were already out there. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to throw them in. I'm going to come back up here and take a look and see were there any other questions. And Steve, if you have a question about the chamfer toolpath, go for it. But like I said, I've not run it yet. So it's if I know it, I'll try to help where I can. But if I don't know, sorry. I can look it up. Oh, speaking of looking it up. We talked about this last week on the Q&A. It came in the mail yesterday. My Magnate thread milling bit. And I'll put a link to it down in the description box. I ended up going through eBay. It's sold by Magnate through eBay, but the price was cheaper than using the Amazon link or going through Magnate itself. So, film at 11. I'm going to be thread milling pretty soon. Patrick wants to know, can I pause the live show so he can go watch my video from this morning? Yeah, sure, Patrick. We'll just hang around here and wait for you to watch a 30-minute video. Come on back when you're done. Okay, Charles Steed wants to know, why not use the Mach 2.3 ATC arc inch post processor? You know, I thought about trying that. I'd have to go into Mach. I have Mach 3 set up right now to where it's ignoring tool change commands, because I was doing, basically, I don't spend all day long out in the shop. I have to come and go as I can. So I may or may not be able to do an entire project in one day. So if I have 6 hours of cut time in one file and I use the ATC post processor, I may not be able to stay in the shed for 6 hours. So if I can come in and do the V carving, and then go grocery shopping with the wife, and then come back and do do a chamfer, and then do the profile cutout. That's how I have to work. I'm not always able to sit there the whole time because, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on around here behind the scenes. Some of it, has to do with getting ready for the new shed. A lot of it doesn't. So I can't really, and I don't like to run my machine when I can't be here. And I don't even like to run into the bathroom while it's running. So I'll wait, and when one Toolpath finishes, I'll run in the house, do what I got to do, grab a sandwich, whatever, come back out, load the next Toolpath, and go. You can, what Charles is talking about is, depending upon your machine and your controller software, you can set up to use, if it's available, a post-processor set up for an automatic tool changer. And then you can save all of your toolpaths in one file, take it out, transfer it, and load up your first tool, tell it to go, and it'll start cutting. And when it gets to the point where there's a tool change, it'll return to a home position that you set. And if you are using a spindle that's controlled by the control software, it'll shut off the spindle so you can do the tool change. And then once you have done the tool change, you tell it to go again, and off it goes. I can't dedicate the time to do that, basically. So, I can't be sure I can dedicate the time. So I've thought about doing it. It's just something inside me says, nah, don't do that. And I'll be honest with you. You load your G-code onto a thumb drive, take it out, transfer it to the machine. It takes all of 15 seconds to close that file, load new G-code, and run it. I got to do a tool change and set my Z0 anyway. So it just doesn't add that much time to it. So, and I don't save G-code anyway. I run it as soon as it gets finished. I've got the project done. That G-code gets deleted. And I do that so I don't accidentally grab the wrong G-code to run a project that I have set up for 3/4 inch material when I meant to do it on 1/2 inch. So I don't save my G-code. As soon as I'm done running the project and the project is a success, that G-code gets deleted. And it also keeps my computer out there cleaner. So, okay, let's see. Steve Gronsky says, I set up a file for a 10x10 board at 1.5 inches thick. Tried to chamfer it, but the only way it appeared to cut properly is if I said my job was 10.5 by 10.5. This was using the simulation. Were you running the chamfer from the inside or the outside? Like I said, I haven't used the chamfer toolpath yet. I need to go back through the tutorials and really check it out. It is something that's kind of interesting, but I have discovered that depending upon the chamfer, it sometimes is easier to do with just, I do a profile toolpath with like a 90-degree V-bit, and that gives me a 45-degree chamfer on an edge, machining on the vector. And it works fine for me. I've been chamfering the edges of projects for a while now before this chamfer toolpath ever come out. See, you have outside going downward. I would try different outside downward, outside inward, inside downward, inside inward, and just see what you get. I mean, that's what where preview comes in handy, until you find that magic combination. But I haven't played with it much. Now, a buddy of mine and fellow admin of the CNC for Beginners group on Facebook, he has done a couple of projects using the chamfer toolpath, and he likes to use that chamfered edge. He'll actually do a V-carve toolpath to make rustic looking signs with uneven edges and what looks like cracks and splits, doing a V-carve toolpath. And he tried that with the chamfer toolpath, and it didn't look as good. He was kind of disappointed in it. So it's one of those things that if you're doing a 3D project, it may look good on paper, but in all practicality, it may or may not work for you. Now, if you're going to run a 3D model, that's one thing. Or if you want to do it as kind of sort of a 3D toolpath. And what I mean by that is, let's say for some strange reason you want a 38-degree bevel or 38-degree chamfer. But, okay, Steve says, it did those things and changing the project size was the only successful chamfer. Well, you could try offsetting offset that vector inward by a 1/2 inch and see if that gives you the result. Because I'm not sure where it calculates that chamfer from the bottom or from the top. But if it would only do it by letting you make the material larger, try making the vector smaller. I mean, it's worth a shot. The worst that can happen is it doesn't do it. So, okay. Michael Johnston, strange things only ever seem to happen when you're away from the machine. Watching the job, it'll go perfectly. Exactly. And I have something I've inherited called the Lindsay curse, to where if it can go wrong, it will. For instance, if it's 40 degrees below zero outside and I take off my right glove, it's guaranteed whatever I'm looking for is in my left pocket. So, it's just what it's like to be me, so I don't. Hey, Bob Heltebridal says, so the new shed gets a bucket so you don't need to run inside. It's going to get something similar to a bucket. But yes, I hear you. You are correct. That will be accounted for. Okay, Jeff Rozak wants to know, off topic, can you use rotary profiles in V-Carve Pro? Yes, I've done it. I only have the one rotary first run video up on my channel. I'll go ahead and put a link to it in the description. Make a note right now. Rotary. Now, having said that, this was done on version 8.5. So we're 2 versions beyond this. This was before they came out with the Rotary Toolpath. I have not used the Rotary Toolpath in V-Carve Pro. I have calculated a couple of projects for the Rotary on Aspire, but I don't know about V-Carve, that is. But yes, you can. I drew up just a simple spindle, and in fact, I don't have it here handy anymore. It used to sit right here. I made it out of, is that it? Nope, that's not it. I was copying a spoke for a spinning wheel, and I did a first test out of a piece of a cedar stair baluster that I got from some guy on the Craigslist free section. He was getting ready to throw it out, put it up on the free section. I went and grabbed it and said that would be perfect to practice with the rotary axis, and it was. If you're talking about a wrapped job, V-Carve Pro will use the wrapping gadget, and that does help. But yes, long story short, yes, you can do rotary axis work on V-Carve. You cannot create a 3D file. Like if you're just trying to carve a spindle, you can do it. If you're trying to carve out a action figure or a figurine or something, no, it won't do it. Unless you have an STL file that you can import as a rotary job. Excuse me. But yes, rotary jobs do work in VCarve Pro. Let's see. Dennis Mills, does anyone by chance have a wiring diagram for a DM542T and STB4100 USB board? Trying to do a dry run before I install, but can't seem to get motors to turn. No smoke so far. You're ahead of me. I always release magic smoke. That's why I don't do electronics work. So if anybody can help out Dennis, if you can't leave it in here in the live chat, put a comment in this video. I am the wrong person to ask. I'm plug and play 100%. So, see, Dwayne Ruthig says, when I go out to the shop, I take a flash drive with the Toolpath files and the job sheet. I write notes on it as I'm running in case I'll run the same project again. Yes, I am a copious note taker, and I firmly believe in writing up checklists and writing out notes to myself. If you, for instance, a lot of people, let me bring up Aspire here and go into screen share. Since we're over here looking at the Save Toolpath, I've got my profile cutout toolpath selected here, and we'll go into the job summary. A lot of people talk about the estimated times here and how it can be off. So for instance, it says here profile cutout toolpath should take 4 minutes 32 seconds to run. Now when I get out on the machine, Mach 3 has an estimated time calculator. You can simulate the job in Mach 3, but it also has an elapsed time meter. So when it starts and it runs, it's keeping track of how long it's been running. And then it gets back to 0 after that toolpath has been running. I can write down that elapsed time and compare it to this. So if it come up as 4 minutes 30 seconds, okay, fine, that's within a good tolerance. But if it took 5 minutes and 15 seconds, I can come down here to scale factor and I can start playing around with it a little bit until, for instance, I come up here and I do 1.125. You see how my estimated times are changing. So at 5:05, I'm still 10 seconds off. Let's go with 3:0. And let's go with 4:0. I'm getting closer to that 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So you can see how you can adjust the scale factor to where the estimated time is a little bit more realistic based on the actual elapsed time it took to run. So, I'm sure there's some mathematic formula that you can use to figure out exactly how much to scale this up. But I'm even worse at math than I am at electronics. So I leave that to the more mathematically inclined. But you can see right here, just in playing around, that if it took an actual 5 minutes and 15 seconds, just in playing around a little bit here, I got it closer to the actual physical time that it took. So that'll help you get a little bit more realistic time estimates. So let me change that now that I've gummed up there we go. And go back over here to y'all. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see. Mike Wallow wants to know, do you push your G-code to Mach 3 directly from Aspire? No, I do not. I save G-code files. I go straight out to the machine out there and transfer those files off of the thumb drive into the computer over there. He says, I do, and in version 10, you can no longer save the G-code before it is pushed to Mach 3. Now you get an auto file assignment that's nothing but numbers and letters. I would send a email to the folks at Vectric support. There may be something in the options that you'll need to check or uncheck. I don't know. I don't know that to be the case, but I would send them an email because I don't know if you've noticed or not, but since the release of version 10.5, we've had 5 updates. So that may be something that they're not aware of that needs to be fixed. And that's how these updates get done, and they fix bugs. So I would send an email to Vectric support about that and let them know that you no longer have the ability to save the G code before it's pushed straight over to Mach. Now, there is a way, for those who don't know, there is a way for you to take the G code straight out of VCarve or Aspire and load it straight to the machine controller without saving G code files and what have you. I don't do that. I save the G code. You also have to download, and it's part of the upgrade. They ask you have to download a program called vTransfer. And you use vTransfer to do that. Then that check mark down there in the Save Toolpath, that checkbox that says output directly to machine, now that becomes active to you. But yeah, definitely, Mike, I would let them know that that may be something they're not aware of. So, okay, let's see. Peleg says, since it would chamfer from the top down, it would make sense it would be from the inside out. That's in reference to Steve Gronsky's question about the chamfer toolpath. Yeah, it would make sense, but come on, how many things in life make sense? I tend to agree with you, so that's why I'm wondering if maybe offsetting that vector inward would, and then using that vector to calculate the chamfer toolpath would accomplish what he's trying to do. So, holy cow, been on here 37 minutes, almost 40. So, are there any questions at all about today's video, grouping toolpaths in the toolpath list, or outputting all the toolpaths to multiple files or a single file or anything like that? It's kind of streamlined the process for me. I know I like to group my toolpaths, or at least identify what toolpaths use the same bit. And just that one little right click, show all using this tool, was a big benefit to me. So I know it saves me like, 3, 4, 5 seconds. But if you've got 15 or 16 toolpaths, it could be a pain, because I know I miss some. So, all right. I think I got to everybody's question. If not, please leave a comment down in the description of this video. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining me this Sunday. Again, I'm going to ask you to go down and check out that GoFundMe page for my friend Steve Nealon, who sponsors MarkLindsayCNC.com, by the way. And if you can't donate, please at least share that GoFundMe. I would really appreciate that. Need to get that in front of more eyes. And for those of you wondering about the shed update, today I'm finally going to, after we're done here, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to set up my batter boards and get my perimeter set up, figure out how deep I'm going to have to trench a little bit to set up my perimeter, and then get ready to get that perimeter assembled and go order gravel. Going to have to get 5 yards of gravel to moving gravel. That's going to be fun. So, alrighty, I will back on out of here. Thank you very much again for joining me. I really appreciate it, guys. I don't know what next week's video is going to be yet. I'm going to be outside working on that. I'm not thinking Aspire right now. We'll see what happens. I'll surprise you, because it'll be a surprise to me too. Thank you very much. Now go outside and make some chips. Go do something, man. Let's make it a great day. Thank you. Y'all take care.